Welcome back to the Power Hour. So honored to be here today with all of you and seeking that truth that sets us free and moving forward. We're going to be talking to Alan Gossett, who is the owner and CEO of Aquanetics. Alan, welcome to the Power Hour.
Thanks. Really good to be here again.
Oh, my goodness. It's a pleasure to speak with you. And, you know, our producer, Catherine, told me, because I was wondering, how did you get connected with the Power Hour? Being new, you know, to this wonderful community, I understand that you first met Joyce and you found her dirty water. And I was just curious if you could share that with our listeners, how you connected with Joyce Riley and how you connected with the Power Hour Nation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really interesting story because it's a big world, but it is really a small world, you know. And what had happened was many years back, I had known of the actual show, and I'd heard of Joyce. And when we took on this endeavor, going to produce this water filtration backpack, we'd reached out to Joyce, and we just didn't connect. And a couple of years ago, I was talking to my mom down in Texas because we were getting ready to launch this thing. And my mom, it's so funny because this is what happened. My mom said, "You need to call Joyce Riley. She's out of Missouri." I'm telling you, Sam, this is what happened. And so, you know, we didn't connect the first time. So I thought, I'll call Joyce this show, or I'll call Joyce again. And sent an email, and I'll be darned if she didn't email me right back. And I was like, wow, this is great. So traveled up here to Missouri, went out to the studio and met her and just showed her. Catherine was there, Noelle, and some of the other girls. And Joyce was just going crazy over this thing. She was like, okay, this backpack does what? You made this thing, and so anyway, I told her, and her and Noelle, I said, you guys, now, Joyce, you told me you have a pond. We're going to that pond and you're drinking that water. And she looked at me, and so her and Noelle followed me out to her pond. And I said, I'll show you real quick how it works. It's real easy. You know, put the hose in, turn it on. And I had some clear glasses with me, clear cups, plastic cups. So I said, just so you know, I'll drink it first. And so I drank my water first, and she's like, give me a cup of that. And so I took it straight from the pond, put it in that clear cup. She held it up to the sun, you know, because you can see how clear it was coming out of this pack. And she was just going crazy, couldn't believe it. And she drank it, and she said, oh, my word, I cannot believe how good this tastes. This tastes better than my water.
Wow.
And so she said, Noelle, you're drinking some of this.
So she had to get the other ones to do it, too, huh? That's funny.
She did, and she made Noelle drink it, and that's been it ever since. And, you know, I've got to tell you that, obviously, with your listeners here on this program, of course, we talk, you know, on this program, politics and a lot of different things, but this listening group and this community on this show, there's so much more to what they listen to and what they're into instead of just politics and pop culture and that sort of thing. And they understand the importance of our natural resources.
Yes.
And so with this specific community, it's really honestly helped launch our company. And we're now in 5 countries now. We've shipped all over the world. But it's all due to Joyce, in all honesty. Well, I mean, of course, we got a good product, but you always need help along the way. And Joyce and Daniel and Catherine and Noelle and all you guys there have been vital to our company. And I've told Joyce this a million times, and Daniel and all you guys, that we're a family now.
Wow.
You know, but we've always been really happy to be on board with the Power Hour.
How wonderful. Well, I was sent an email from a couple of people who have purchased your product. It's from Barbara Voigt, Deanna Voigt, and Deborah Braun. And they're actually, they wrote this email to Power Hour Friends. That's how they named it. They said, we are writing to you today about our magnificent Hydro System pack. We are 3 ladies, ages 72, the mom, 54, and 51. We live off-grid, no electric or well, just a landline phone and the internet. We harvest rain. We used to have water osmosis at the store. We use 3-gallon containers, heavy when full for us. Yeah, heavy, yeah. Isn't water about 8 pounds a gallon? Is that what it is?
Right.
8 pounds a gallon. Now, because of our wonderful hydro pack, we can filter our rain harvest and then fill about 2 gallons each, and it's easier for us. This pack has been a blessing gift for our life here. We absolutely love it. It is so easy to use, store, and charge. So you do have some fans out there, Alan.
Well, and we talked to Deborah on air, and one of her other girls jumped on too, but they use this pack to purify all of their water that they use for their drinking and everything for the house for an entire week, because they were having to drive to town, go to one of those RO kiosks or to the actual store, fill a bunch of gallons and drag them all the way back for the week.
Wow.
And, you know, what I guess what people don't understand is how much we use water. It's out of control how much water we use. What's interesting is there was an actual report that was released out in 2016 with water. It was a water systems health boil orders article that was written in 2016. And one of their main points was, and I'll quote the article here. It says, "How many times a day do you use water from a tap?" And I'm quoting, "If you live in the U.S. and are practicing basic personal hygiene, that number is probably 5, or if not much more. Beyond drinking, we use water to brush teeth, shower, wash our dishes. Don't forget, guys, cooking, and don't forget your pets, and don't forget a lot of these other things. We use more water than we think." And, before the break, you would talk about sodas and all this other stuff.
Yes, yes.
Well, people, what do you think's in that? It's water. Water's in beer. Water's in Kool-Aid. Water's in a lot of the products we actually use every day, whether it's manufacturing process of different products or not. But water is one of the 2 single most vital natural resources we can attain. And Deborah, she's out of Snowflake, Arizona. She is absolutely living proof of this. If you don't have water, you don't have much.
There have been a couple of times, a lot of water systems are dependent upon electricity, especially if you're living, in a city. And sometimes when you're in the country, you've got wells that are connected to electricity still, if people aren't off grid. So when the electricity goes off, the water tap doesn't run. And if that happens for a day or 2 or 3 days and you can't wash your hands, or you can't wash that dish. I mean, it's a very, very serious situation. Your hydro pack, basically, whatever body of water you find, you can get and clear. Is this correct?
Yeah, so if you know what, that's a perfect point, because another thing is people think, and I had sent a really interesting factoid to the show, and I'll email it to you during the break. But people think because I'm on city water, I don't need purification of any kind. Well, number one, just like you just mentioned, if the electricity goes down, and now that's never happened to us, right?
Yeah, right.
But if the electricity goes down, what do people think that the municipality pumps run off of? They run off electricity. So when the pressure drops in the lines, eventually it will, because you're using water within the lines that are pressurized your home, you're not getting water. And what are you going to do now? And we don't like to sell this idea as a doom and gloom, because it's not. It's everyday practical uses, like Deborah out in Snowflake, Arizona, or people that are conscious about infrastructure that you had mentioned. How many thousands of miles of waterline infrastructures are crumbling? It's
right.
out of control. In fact, there was a study done. Let's just take the city of Chicago. Whether you like it or hate it, let's talk about Chicago, because how many hundreds of millions of tax dollars do they take in every year within the city to take care of infrastructure and the roads and these types of things? Chicago experiences an average of 35 combined sewer overflows per year. One of the biggest reasons for boil orders in a city is sewer overflows or water main breaks, which will introduce bacteria and things like that within the water lines, excess sediment and so forth. Guys, this is Chicago. This isn't, some small town out in the middle of nowhere. This is Chicago that takes in hundreds of millions of dollars of tax monies from the citizens every year that's supposed to take care of these things. And this is just one example. So when you're talking about, well, how in the heck am I going to get water? Well, in an emergency or a power outage or something like that, you're not getting it from the city. So you can take this hydro. It's a solar hydro is what it's called, because you charge it with a solar panel that comes with it. You take it anywhere in the world to any freshwater body source, and you can purify it on demand at a gallon a minute up to 100 gallons a day.
That is an incredible claim. I think we're probably going to be going to break pretty soon. So when we come back, let's talk about the specific parts of how you're putting things together, the filters and how heavy it is. And I saw also that you can take a shower with this thing, too, which could come in handy. So when we get back after the break, we'll continue with Alan Gossett. You're listening to Power Hour, and it's just a pleasure, Alan, to meet you. And stay tuned, everybody. Sorry about that. As I sit here, and Blake, thank you so much. Daniel Brigman will be back beginning of the week. I'm honored to sit here and speak to you, and it's an honor to meet Alan Gossett. Alan, this is a kind of a short segment. It's only 6 minutes, so going through piece by piece, we might want to wait until the next segment. We'll have more time. But I do have a question for you, because you obviously are an entrepreneur. And you came to this idea, and I'm wondering, you told us how you met Joyce, but can you tell us kind of how, what kind of struggles you had bringing this idea to market, and what were some of the things you had to overcome?
Sure. We had started this project because I was involved in manufacturing of solar generators. And as we traveled the United States and went to different expos and met a lot of different people, we started to do surveys and starting to ask people what some of their major concerns were, whether it's everyday life or during an emergency or disaster. And, of course, being in that market, I thought, well, this is a no-brainer. It's electricity. Or it would have been politics or guns and ammo or something like that. And I will tell you, probably 95% of everyone said water.
Interesting.
And it's very interesting. And so we undertook this project, and I guess some of the struggles that you have with something like this is, number one, does it work? I mean, we took 4 years of research and development to get it to the point before we launched. 4 years. That's a lot of time and effort and money and field testing and lab tests and all these things to make sure that this product does what it says it does.
When you say we, are you talking about you and your partners, or were you working with other people that understood the flow of this kind of technology?
Yeah, the original idea, myself and a friend of mine that, again, we manufactured solar generators.
Yes.
We decided to take on water, And his idea was, well, we need to do something that's extremely portable, like a backpack. And then so from there, I designed it, and we put it together and got it launched. But, yeah, it came from brainstorming at the very beginning when we were involved with solar generators.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're doing stuff, I mean, just the amount of money is ridiculous that it takes to do this. But people have to understand is, and I tell my kids this, and I tell everybody this, no one's going to give you anything. You get what you go get. So if you really want something to work, you're going to have to work hard. That's the American way. There's nothing wrong with that. But you go after it. You do something that's good, that helps people, that is mindful. It's a good product. It will be successful. You know, it doesn't mean there's not going to be hiccups along the way, which there always are. So what? Dust yourself off and keep going.
But you really had a vision for it, and obviously 4 years is a long time. I mean, were you supporting yourself in another manner while you were spending all the money, you know, doing this kind of research?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, working 40 to 60 hours a week to pay the bills, and then doing this after the 40 to 60 hours a week working for it. It's just what you do.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Yes. We're talking to Alan Gossett. This product that he's developed, which most of our Power Hour listeners are aware of, is on the Power Mall. You can buy it at the Power Mall, 10% off. The H2o, the Aquanetics H2o. I want to read another testimonial. When we come back on the other side of the break, we are going to get into the individual pieces so our listeners can really understand, you know, exactly what this is made out of. This is from, let's see, who is this from? Laura and Dirk Marsh, and they're in Knoxville, Tennessee. And this is what they say about the product that Alan Gossett has made. It says, Dirk and I want to stop and take a moment to thank you for your direction, and to let you know how impressed we are with the level of service we received. It was so nice to get instant replies, solid product information, quick delivery, and a quality product, and it far exceeded our expectations. It builds confidence in our purchase to speak directly to Alan, who we're talking to today. He responded personally by phone and email, and we went straight to the source. We also want to thank Joyce and the Power Hour members for seeking out those who are the salt of the earth, doing business, treating others right, like Alan. Makes the world feel like the kind of place we all want to live. That's Laura and Dirk Marsh, an email of...
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. So grateful to be sitting here this day and talking to some just tremendous people out there in America and around the world. And, of course, Alan, we'll get back to him in a second. I want to mention the Power Mall, 877-817-9829. The Hydro Pack is on the Power Mall at 10% off. Of course, you know, it was always said, buy from the good guys. And you can tell from the emails, Alan's one of those good guys, working hard. Also mentioned free shipping for a limited time as a thank you. Daniel wanted me to, again, stress how grateful he is for everyone being so supportive. There's a special on Living Streams. You spend $100 on Living Streams probiotic products, get a free bottle of Chabad. And that's the Power Mall. And that's what really funds a lot of stuff going forward. So more products will be added on as moving forward. That number for the Power Mall, 877-817-9829. Alan, we were going to go through some of the different parts and parcels of your product, but you said something while we were talking during the break that you wanted to position this as something slightly different than what's out there. So please go ahead and do that.
Absolutely. We didn't put together this system to be like a lot of the other guys. There are a lot of really good water purification or mostly filtration products that are on the market. A lot of them work great. And, you know, and I've told Joyce and Daniel this 100 times, we've never tried to take the place of, you know, the Straws or the Berkeys or the Sawyers or anything like that, because everything has its place in this world. It really does. But what sets us apart is this. According to the World Health Organization, they have what they call, it's a humanitarian sphere, and it's basically a study that they had released that gives you minimums of water needed during an emergency or a disaster, okay? And just for drinking alone for one person. I'm not talking cooking or pets or anything else. Just for drinking alone, what they require or ask you to have is 10 liters of water per person per day. That's just drinking alone. That's over 2 gallons of water, of course. Okay, this doesn't count cooking. What are you going to cook with? Now, and keep in mind, this is short-term survival. For just drinking and cooking for one person, 20 liters of water per day, this is only short-term survival. If you're looking for personal hygiene, personal washing, again, this could be just a real light rinse, rinsing hands, face, things like that. 30 liters of water per person per day.
Wow.
And so the reason that we put together this solar hydro is you can, of course, charge it with the solar that we give you anywhere in the world, so you will never need an electrical grid, ever. But this will give you a gallon a minute. Now, on one charge, because we give you the a 12-volt power supply with the actual system, you can get between 30 and 40 gallons on one charge. And if you, obviously you have to work at it a little bit, but you could get up to 100 gallons a day without needing an electrical grid. You just need some sunlight. That's enough. Up to 100 gallons a day, that's enough for 50 people for one day.
Wow.
That's 2 gallons per person per day. Now, you have to provide the gallon jugs, right? I can't help you there.
Yeah, right. Right. Those aren't something that are, easily carried as easy as your backpack. I noticed, you market this to missionaries, disaster relief, the military, camping, and for disaster. While we're talking about, apocalyptic times, you're also talking about everyday use, like the women that we had the email from earlier. Let's go through the actual, I believe this graphic that I'm looking at is online on the Power Mall. It shows the different parts and pieces of the actual.
Yes, there are several different components that come with the actual system. The system it's a backpack, okay? So you can backpack this system anywhere in the world. It has a retractable handle on it. My 8-year-old son won't backpack this, but he can pull it very easy. It weighs only 25 pounds, and you get the hoses with it. You get filters. The power supply comes with it. The solar panel comes with it. And I'll talk about the solar here in a minute because it's a really important piece, again, I want to go over. But it comes with everything turnkey included. And the reason we do that is because I'm a customer like everybody else. I buy clothes and shoes and cars and everything like everybody else. And I think what really infuriates me as a customer is you do a lot of research. You finally make a decision to go with a product or purchase something, and then after you cut that check and you get it in, you find out after reading the fine print you've got to turn right back around and buy more stuff. I hate that. That's not fair. So everything is included turnkey with nothing else to purchase initially at all, and we do that because we're customers like everybody else. But everything is, like I said, completely included. The filters are great. And if you want to talk about some of the specific ones, let me know what component you'd like to go over, and I'll go in depth in that stuff.
4% water, depending on our age, 60 to 74% water. It's one of the... All right, Alan is back. It's one of those original elements. The DNA and proteins and molecules would not work without water. Are you back, Alan?
We're back. That's technology for you, right?
Well, yeah, it was interesting because we both dropped off at the same time. I went, oh, my goodness, what's going on? So hopefully we didn't lose everybody. Now, do you remember what you were talking about when we dropped off? Because I didn't hear you.
You'd asked me to kind of go over the pack and the different components of it. And before we do that really quick, I'm going to touch on one more thing because the importance of water. A lot of people out there, and I've been all over the country, and I've met thousands upon thousands of people, and I always ask them this question because, like, whether you go meet people that do the stuff at the big gun shows or the big survival expos or anything else, one thing that I run into all the time, and even people, presidents of gun clubs and all this, they actually tell me this. They say, Alan, this is great. We do these gun clubs and these big gun shows, and they tell me nobody ever thinks of water. And so I ask people, during an emergency, what are you going to do? And they always say, well, I've got my 25-year food storage. I've got my guns. I'm fine. And I'll respectfully tell them, well, last time I checked, you can't drink bullets. What are you going to do? And, well, I've got something like a little Sawyer or a small pump. And I just remind people, what do you think you're going to cook your 25-year food storage with?
Right.
Do you know that with some of these smaller pumps, you have to pump it 49 times? This is in their user manual to get 1 small liter of water. Now, if you have to get water for you and a family, pets, cook your 25-year food storage, drinking, hygiene, and a small garden and down the line, you're going to have to crank that thing 49 million times.
49 million?
Well, that's an exaggeration, but you're going to have to pump that thing a lot. My arm's going to fall off.
Alan,
if you're waiting on something to gravity feed, you're going to be waiting a very long time to get 100 gallons in a day.
Yes.
Because we use more water than we think. That's why we have this pack. That's why we do it the way we do it.
Alan, you said something right there that seemed different than what you had said before, because you said when you worked in the solar industry, you were talking to people, and they all were talking about water. We're going to need water, which is what gave you the impetus to create this product. But yet now you just told me that when you go to gun shows, nobody's thinking about water. Isn't that kind of a strange disconnect?
Well, of course it's a strange disconnect because we like to think that security means, well, I can secure the perimeter of my home against invaders. That's an integral part. But how do you secure your family when you can't eat? How do you secure your family or your pets or your small livestock when you can't drink?
Yes.
How is that secure? And so when I talk to these people at these big gun shows and these, like I said, these presidents, these gun clubs, I remind them, guys, you're almost there, but you can only live up to 3 days without drinking water. What are you going to do? Because typically, if there's a big water problem, a lot of times it has to do with the electrical grid being down. And in fact, again, we like to think because we're on city water or a municipality, if the water's fine.
Right.
I had emailed you or sent to Catherine, and she'll forward it to you. We did an actual photograph of filters that are on one of our employees' homes. They filter their water coming in from the city, okay? This is actual city water. The before, it's a white filter, which it should be, right? The after, in only 3 months of service, this is, guys, this is coming from city water, it's almost dark brown. It looks like clay. This is coming in from the city that people are drinking, and they think because they're on city water, they're fine. Guys, how many tens of thousands of boil orders are reported all over the United States every year? City water, and how many reports, like, for an example, the Texas Water Commission released reports for San Saba County down in Texas where our office is, radium, and all of these extremely harmful gases and chemicals that are radon that are ending up in the water in Texas from the city. Now, how can that be if it's coming from the city? Well, as it happens, So one thing that we have to remember is being secure is not just guns and ammo. We better be able to provide for and to sustain life that we're trying to secure.
Indeed,
and that
indeed.
has to be water. It has to be water.
And when you talk about municipality water, too, I mean, more pharmaceuticals are being flushed in the water. I mean, there's lead, heavy metals flushed in the water. So we only have, I think, another 8 minutes or so. Let's get to the pieces so you can explain to people, like, how much does it, weigh on your back? Those 3 women that ordered it, one was 72.54. They don't seem to have a problem. So talk about the filtration. Just talk about the system itself. I think we have a couple of minutes before the break, and then we'll have a few more minutes after.
Okay, it's a water-resistant material backpack. The system weighs, it's like 24.85 pounds, so we call it 25 pounds. And you can backpack it. You can pull it. It actually has a retractable handle and wheels on it. See, my 8-year-old son can pull it. It's very easy to move around. Again, you don't need any electrical grid. Take it anywhere in the world to any fresh water source. We don't recommend brackish water or salt water yet. We're working on that. But fresh water source, you turn it on, and it pulls the water straight through on demand. And it doesn't just filter it, guys. It purifies. There's a big difference there. This comes with certifications on our components. This is very important. National Safety Foundation, NSF. We have several certifications from NSF on our components. Even some of our components carry a U.S. PVI, which is a medical grade certification on some of these components. Wow. Guys, nobody uses components that they use in hospitals in their purification process because it costs too much, but we do that. The solar panel that comes with it, you can charge not only your power supply in the pack very easily. You can also use it to charge, because it's an 18-volt power solar panel. You can also charge car batteries, tractor batteries, ATVs, anything 12-volt and up you can charge with this thing. So we do that because we want you to not only be able to use your solar panel for charging your water purification, solar hydro, but you can also use it in all other aspects of your life during an emergency as well.
Wow.
The filters that come with it.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
One of the filters, and what's very important, we can reduce or remove radon gas, chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, VOCs, trihalomethanes. All of these things will pull out of that surface water. Keep in mind, guys, that one of the biggest reasons for contamination in surface water in the United States is going to be from not only animal waste, but also from runoff from farms, industry, agriculture, and things like that. So you've got to be able to take care of those things as well. Within the actual purification, because this is a 4-stage purification system, we use a germicidal UVC modulus. And I'll talk about that when we get back. So this is what's going to kill bacteria, disease, viruses, and water.
Fantastic. Stay with us, Alan, on the Power Hour, and we'll be back on the other side. Don't forget, this is on the Power Mall. Thanks for listening to Power Hour today. We'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to the Power Hour. So pleased to be here. My name is Sam. My friends call me Redneck Nana Sam, actually. And Alan Gossett has been talking about his path to this revolutionary product for water purification called the Hydro, which is available at the Power Mall. I believe there's a 10% off. Power Mall phone number 877-817-9829, thepowermall.com. We have just a few minutes left, Alan, and why don't you just take the floor and finish it up for us?
Sure. One thing that I'll tell you, too, is we're actually running a promotion with you guys that I would like to talk about just for a second. So you guys are doing the 10% off. We're actually throwing in for limited time for all of the listeners, and we do this periodically, a free $69 hydration pack and a set of extra filters. And on top of the 10% you guys are doing too, that's over a $230 savings.
Wow.
Value for, we do this stuff exclusively for Power Hour Nation. So I'll send you that, and you guys can put it on the site if you like. But with your Power Hour orders that we'll be getting, we're throwing all that in too. So just so you guys know, it's over $230 in value savings. So.
Wow, that's wonderful. You know, it seemed to me that you told me during the break that Power Hour Nation, you take it very seriously because didn't you join the community? Now, I'm still kind of perusing the website and trying to figure it out.
Yes. Yeah, there's a community on there. It's kind of like a Facebook page for Power Hour Nation. It's really cool. And I'll plug you guys if your listeners haven't done this yet. Guys, this is a really good tool to communicate with other Power Hour Nation listeners that you can message and do all that stuff just like Facebook. I know down in Texas they had a Friends of meeting that they did all the time. And this would be a way to get with Power Hour listeners within your community so you can message, share information back and forth, ask questions. I urge some of the other vendors that you guys work with to do this because this is a really good resource not only for the listeners but also for the vendors and the people that are really involved in the Power Hour because it's a really good community to be involved with.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that $233 extra worth of materials that you're throwing in plus the 10% off, it's just a wonderful product, Alan, and now it's available on the Power Mall. You said it's in 5 nations now, this product?
Yes. Well, United States, Canada, Indonesia, Honduras, gosh, yeah, now I'm on the spot. But there's one more that I can't think of off the top of my head. But yes, we've been slowly creeping across the world, so it's very exciting for us. It's really exciting, and especially, again, not only here but in third world countries. Remember a lot of the bacteria and viruses that we're finding in water?
Yes.
Big Legionnaires. Now, this was published in, I believe, in New York Times last year. There was a huge Legionnaires outbreak in New York City where there were 4 deaths. Guys, this is the United States. This isn't just a third world country. And because of the viruses and bacteria that you will find in, so if you take this pack to a lake or a drainage ditch to get water, because that's the only water source you're going to have maybe, yes, this will kill and eradicate yellow fever, enteric fever, hepatitis, Ebola, cholera, all of these things out of water because we use 3 times more UVC radiation that's even recommended by the World Health Organization. We use more than we have to because we want to make that any disease or bacteria that will be eradicated. And one thing people have to understand is if you're using like a small pump or a small item that does not use anything else except the filtration, like a straw or something like that, remember, a virus can be as small as a 0.005 micron. That's smaller than the filter they use. So if you're not using UVC radiation...
We got to go to break, Alan. I'm so sorry. We got to go to break. Appreciate it so much.